Hello and welcome to another brand new episode of Dingers and Stingers, the podcast that doesn't get the Travis Kelce deal either. So maybe someone else in here can tell me about it because I don't know what's going on here. On to this week's NFL episode of our show, we are going to talk about some of the big deals that have come through over the last week. Some players that are very well known have signed some very interesting contracts. We'll also talk a little bit about that strange flag football showdown between Team USA and the NFL All Stars, quote unquote, NFL All Stars. And we'll also do a little bit of referee labor talk here and there. We'll also run back our titular segment, Dingers and Stingers. We'll run that back as well at the end of the show. And so, pack show today for the NFL side. Lots to talk about. I'm Dallas, that's Drew, and that's Matt. And let's get into it here. So, first up, we're going to talk about a couple of uh, contracts that were signed by some notable players. First being Seahawks breaking the bank for Jackson Smith and Jigba, JSN. 4 years, $168.6 million. $120 million of that is guaranteed. So there you go. They had just days before exercised the fifth-year option on both Jackson Smith and Jigba and Devin Witherspoon, who were the same draft class, but both of those moves were considered to be precursors for the extensions for both of them to come, and JSN's came a little earlier than maybe I expected, but it does make him the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history, both by guaranteed money and annual average. And so let's talk about it a little bit. So, what would you have done if you were Seattle in this situation? Would you have waited to see him produce again next year and kept the fifth round or the fifth year option going for this year? Or extend now to set the market rather than react to it with some other receivers' contracts coming up here?
I think that I love this move for Seattle. I think gone are the days where you need 2 or 3 seasons in a row of dominant play to warrant a good contract. Obviously, resetting a market is a big deal. But I think the thing that people forget is the inflation of the salary cap is going faster than it's ever gone. Um, he by average, yearly salary broke the record for most money in a single year, but he did not break the percentage of salary cap record, and he wasn't like particularly close to it either. His deal comes in just shy of 14% of the salary cap for this year, which when you look at other top paid receivers in the year they were paid, is great. Like it's top of market for sure. I mean, a lot of receivers are in that 14 to 15% range, but this is everyone wants to look at the sticker price of 42 point, 15 whatever $1 million a year and be like, "Oh my God, like are we sure? He's only had one season." It's like, yeah, man, like they didn't even pay him record-breaking numbers by percentage. I'm cool with this. I think that this is a good move. You get ahead of the market. Um, and like I think the thing is you don't ever want to play scared, right? Like I as a football guy, you don't ever want to play scared. And the worst thing you could do is play reactionary. What happens if JSN has a second incredible year? What if he wins back to back, you know, uh, record-breaking seasons and he has all these crazy, uh, records and all these things? You're going to end up having to pay him record-breaking money even more so than what you just did. And it's not going to just be by the total value. You're talking about by percentage of salary cap as well. And if we keep seeing these increases, you're talking like next year, the receiver market could easily balloon into the 50s. And the receiver market could easily balloon to be, 15, 16% as breaking that record. And I don't know. I mean, that's a lot of like gross little finance talk, but I like this move. I mean, he is the reason that this offense was what it was. He is the one who made this offense move. As much as they, relied on that run game, you can attest to this. Jackson Smith Najigba was always the guy who made it happen. Even when other pieces were doing well, it was off of Jackson Smith Najigba. The run game did really well when Jackson Smith-Njigba was taking the attention of the defense. Other guys performed well when Jackson Smith-Njigba was taking the attention of the defense. And when he wasn't getting as much attention, he was cooking them the entire game. In the short game, in the intermediate, in the deep game, like this dude is an all-around threat. Um, I love this move for the Seahawks. And I think locking it in, you're still paying, your quarterback bottom half of the league money for 2 more years. Like, take advantage of that. Absolutely. Like, this is, you just won the Super Bowl. You are in the middle of a window. Invest in your players. Invest in the guys who you believe make you a Super Bowl contender.
I agree. I mean, this he's coming off Offensive Player of the Year. Like, great year. Reward the guy for his performance to this point. Give him that good contract. And I think too much is made of like setting the market. I think this is the exact type of guy that should set the market. He was the best receiver in football last year. Like, there's pretty much like no argument against that fact. Not saying he is the best receiver in football, but he was the best receiver in football last year. And um, to me, it's like, okay, you could wait a year, you could wait even longer, let it get messy, let the price go up, let the price go up for years where he might not be as productive. Like, you're getting him now at a younger age too. Like, that shouldn't be disregarded in football of all sports, where the fall off happens so fast, especially for skill position type guys. Um, I think it makes sense for the Seahawks. You just won a Super Bowl. This was one of the key components of making that team go. Make him happy, keep him around. Solid move all around.
Yeah, I think it's consistent with something that John Schneider likes to do, which is, he likes to not necessarily like by multiple years, but get ahead of, you know, players' free agency a little bit. It's usually the maximum is like 1 year before they would have to hit free agency. He would do it, and so for a guy like JSN, like who is as important to the Seahawks as he is, it's time to do it now. And so we want JSN to know that the organization believes in him, and that's what they were able to communicate by giving him this deal. So I think it's a good way to start the offseason for the Seahawks. Just locks up a player that they're going to need for the next few years of their competitive window here, and it works out. I haven't bought an active Seahawk player jersey in a long time. The last one that I guess technically Bobby Wagner, the one that I have now, it was during his second stint with Seattle is when I bought it. He was quickly not a Seahawk after I bought it, but maybe I'll invest in a JSN jersey now.
Both man, you guys all gotta pitch in here.
Yeah, so maybe it's about that time. But yeah, so there you go. JSN got the big deal. It's nice to see, and yeah, it'll be good. It's good for everybody. Good for Seattle. But another deal that was signed this last week was Travis Kelce. He signed a deal with the Chiefs to come back, and originally the deal was reported to be 3 years, 54 million, which made everybody freak out because they weren't expecting multiple years. They maybe weren't expecting that high of a average annual value. When you look at it, how it was reported on the face, 3 years, 54 million, people freaked out. But let's dive deeper into what this deal really is, though, right? Because people have taken a look at the deal now. And so let's explain a little bit, what this deal really is. On the surface, it says 3 years, 54 million, but what do we have here really on our hands?
Yeah, I mean, this deal is a lot closer to what I think a lot of these long-term deals we're seeing in the NFL are nowadays, which is you can add in basically these void years and you can push around the guaranteed money to a point where a 3-year deal like this could pretty much just be a 1 year deal. And it allows you to spread the cap out a little bit over a couple seasons, to kind of offset some of the potential losses if you are to move on or retire. Um, so yeah, on the surface, it's like, why in the world would you, sign a Travis Kelce to a 3 year deal? Why would you sign him to all this money? Realistically, you are just trying to lessen his cap hit this year, um, while still allowing him to get paid, and you're going to kind of bleed out this contract for the next couple of years, knowing that when he does retire and when he does walk away from the game, you're still going to get freed up cap space just because you're not paying a superstar player anymore. Um, so the sticker shock was real, but yeah, as soon as the details come out, it was pretty like, yeah, that's pretty standard these days. We're seeing a lot of 2 or 3 year void year deals. So
Well, there you go. So that's what we've got in our hands here is essentially this creative accounting that
mhm.
NFL teams like to do, is what we have here. So on to what this means for this year. What do we see Kelce contributing to the Chiefs this season? This offense is kind of in a place where they're looking for the guy. Like they're looking for that guy who can step up for Mahomes and make it happen. So among that group that currently is with the Chiefs now, what do you see Kelce contributing for them this year?
I don't see Kelsey being anything higher than the number two option in this offense, and I don't see him being anything lower than the number three. I think he kind of slots in there as the safety blanket. I don't think he's going to be like doing 1,200, 1,500 yards ever again. But safety blanket, first down guy, red zone guy, I think those are all still in play. I think he will be on the field as much on like a 3 down basis. I think that the run blocking and honest, just the effort isn't at the same level it needs to be for him to be a 3 down guy. Um, but he's going to be involved. I mean, if you're going to pay Travis Kelce and you're going to pay him, still good money, he's going to be involved in this pass game. And I think he's a more than capable pass catcher. I just think that they're going to kind of load manage him this season a bit more than we're used to seeing. Um, and I think this offense is going to kind of run through Rashee Rice and now Kenneth Walker. And we'll see. I mean, they're definitely being talked about as one of the teams who could draft a top receiver or even Kenyon Sadiq. So there could be some personnel changes that come post draft and with other moves. So it'll be interesting to see. But I don't think he'll be any higher than the two and any lower than the three.
I think his role on this team has been the same for the last few years, and I don't expect it to really change. Um, I think you nailed it, Matt, when you said safety blanket. Like, he's the guy that's been around with Mahomes his whole career, or Mahomes his whole career, and obviously he's not the same tight end one that he was for a few years there. But that doesn't mean he doesn't offer anything. And I think in particular, obviously we didn't see it this year, but like they keep him fresh, and I think they really let him go in the playoffs, and that's when he becomes a more viable weapon. Obviously, the years are limited in terms of how long he's going to be able to physically keep doing that. But he hasn't necessarily shown that he's not capable of that yet. So I think that's still kind of the plan for him. And like, I'm not going to be surprised at all when Travis Kelce has a big touchdown in the playoffs for the Chiefs. That's just kind of what happens these days.
Yeah, totally. It's kind of this thing of like the Chiefs. It kind of feels like if he wants to come back, they feel like they're the team that has to pay him, or maybe it's like he only wants to come back if he's coming back to the Chiefs, kind of a thing. And so from this point forward, it's going to be like year to year, we'll take it and we'll see where it goes. But I do look forward. I saw these videos of Patrick Mahomes this week, looking like he's resuming some kind of some level of football activity. So I kind of do hope he's ready for week one because I would really like the opening game to be Chiefs Seahawks in Seattle. Because I would really like that to happen. And if Mahomes is healthy, there's no reason for it not to be that game. And so I want to see that. So I hope that he's healthy for week one and they can put that game on the schedule. But as far as Travis Kelce goes, we'll see how much we see of him as far as a key contributor for that team. But okay, so moving on from players who negotiated good deals. Their agents, of course, did most of the negotiating, but there's other negotiations going on right now in the world of NFL, and that revolves around the referees. So we're having conversations again about the referee collective bargaining agreement. And this week, they met with the NFL representatives and met to discuss the terms of a new collective bargaining agreement for the referees. And pretty quickly those talks were broken off. They were supposed to meet multiple days this week, and they ended up only meeting for a little bit on one day and then went their separate ways because they were just too far apart on the terms that they want to go forth. So let's talk a little bit about where we're at right now. How close are we to a referee lockout? And what are kind of the key differences here? So let's have a little freewheeling discussion about that and see where we're at. So kind of let's run down a little bit. So the first thing is, how close are we to a lockout? And then what are the differences here between the sides?
Yeah, given what we know about what kind of stalled the negotiations, I think we absolutely should be far from a resolution here. If the refs are unwilling to budge, the referee association is unwilling to budge on the idea that referees have to actually be good at their jobs, then I don't think that there is a negotiation to be had. Coming from the fan perspective, like I think we see, this year alone with the introduction of the ABS system in baseball, right? It is just a small measure to keep referees accountable for mistakes that we don't blame them for making. Like it is the human element of the game, but it allows us to correct quickly some of the mistakes they make in these big moments. And we've had other measures that we've attempted in the NFL, and none of them have really gone successfully. And for one reason or another, there's not really any transparency to the fans when it comes to who's making a lot of these decisions for the refs. This past year, watching football, one of the biggest things that just irked me was how many times I heard announcers bring in our NFL rules analyst or specialist onto the broadcast and be like, so, Terry McCauley, what do you think? And he's like, well, I got to be honest here. To me, this looks like it's this. And then the refs rule it the other way. And he's like, that's incorrect. Okay, then tell them. Like, then call down. They got earpieces in. Tell them they're wrong. Like that's the whole point. We introduced, the eye in the sky ref, and that was supposed to be able to do some of this stuff. We introduced, these expedited reviews where New York could actually call in certain penalties, or New York could call in these things, and yet when it actually mattered, they just kind of backed away from that, and it didn't happen. Um, I am very for putting a hard boundary on these refs of like you have to have a level of accountability, and whether that be accountability or incentivizing stronger performances, there has to be something that improves the level of referees and umpireship in the NFL, because it is at an all-time low. Like obviously I'm not like that old. I didn't watch 1950s football, but I'm like I can't imagine that it was this bad at any point in time. Like with truly just like the broadcast contradicting in real time what the umps are saying is crazy to me. And having a rules analyst in the booth being like, we're seeing the same things we're seeing, they're wrong. And then just nothing happens and games are dictated because of it. I'm not going to bring up too many weird calls that happened to our teams this year, but like there's things that happened this year that were wrong. Any thoughts, Dallas, Drew?
I mean, yeah, like I'm all for in general having the correct calls made as most like what's the word I'm looking for? Like as
As
much as
frequently as
possible.
possible.
Yeah, like we are like I am a fan like anyone else who does not like seeing the result of a game come down to whether or not a referee or an umpire or whoever knows how to do their job. That sucks. I can't speak to these negotiations. Like, I don't know exactly what's being asked for. But yeah, I don't want to mess with anyone's money. Like, that being said, I think the refs, um, they kind of, the last time we saw this go down, they have their ace in the hole, right? They can just hold out, hold out, hold out. They'll get replacement refs in there. There'll be some bonkers, terrible call that, like a Fail Mary, for example, and it'll be like, see, it's not so easy, is it? And then they'll be clamoring for the actual refs to come back, as bad as they are. I don't know. Like in general, I'd like to see more automation when it comes to refereeing, when it comes to umpiring. We're seeing it trend that way in a lot of ways, like, even in football with the like digital measuring for first downs and things like that. I'd like to see more of that. Sorry if you're a ref and you're all in your feelings about how hard of a job it is. It is a hard job. I have like, I wouldn't ever want to be a professional sports policeman. That's basically what they are. Like that sounds like a horrible job. No one's ever happy with you. But yeah, it's the job you signed up for. Like you should do it to the best of your ability, and you should want to take some pressure off yourself. You should want automation involved. If you do make a crucial mistake, it can be fixed, and then no one remembers that you screwed it up the first time. Like maybe it's like slightly embarrassing for you, but it's much worse when it's you make that call and it actually affects the outcome.
Yeah. Dude, that's the thing that I think is always so interesting is like that exactly what you said. Like it's the job you signed up for. Refs act like they are this like victim in all of this. Like, oh, like how poor us. Like it's such a hard job. Brother, you get paid a shit ton of money to hang out at NFL games and work like half of a year. Like, there's worse things than having a high stakes job for half of a year. And it's just like you signed up for this. You put in years and years and years of your life making this happen. You refed through the ranks, and I'm sure, you were the best of the best for your group or your division or, whatever, your conference that you came up through. But at the end of the day, like have a little professional integrity. Like these games are not about you, and they've never been about the ups. And I feel like, you know, granted, I'm a little biased when it comes to supporting him, but Puka got under some fire this season for making the comment that refs were wanting to be in the spotlight and they wanted to be on TV. And I'm like, after this season, after the last few seasons, I don't know that he's wrong. I don't know that he should have said it in like the manner he did or like in the like format that he did, but I'm like, I don't think that he's wrong. I think there's a lot of refs that think that this is their like big moment to shine. They're gonna go flex their ability to make big moments happen. And I don't want to get conspiracy theory and pull out the tinfoil hat and everything, but I'm like, it begs the question if Vegas does have a hand in all of this, if there is, like pull going one way or the other of like, are these refs just being paid off to do certain things and not script games, but try and nudge them a certain direction? It brings up a really touchy area that I think a lot of fans and players and league officials don't. It's lifting a rock that I think a lot of them don't want to lift. right? They don't want to look under that rock. And I don't know. It shocks me when people are so like offended by the thought of having professional integrity. Like, to me, that's not a sign that you're having it in the first place.
Yeah, for sure. I think those are all good points. I think that something that they're trying to do to potentially mitigate a replacement ref disaster like 2012, although I enjoyed the replacement refs for the most part. Yeah, that's before I move on to the next question. The real question is who if the replacement refs go into effect this year, who is going to have like who's going to be the Russell Wilson whose career is born because of the error of the replacement refs? Like that's who's going to be what player is going to benefit from that in a huge way. But something that they are trying to do to mitigate a replacement ref disaster is next week at the owners' meetings, they are going to vote on a 1 year only rule that will go into effect in the event that replacement referees are needed. Um, and so that would allow the New York office, where the officiating crews are, the NFL officiating department is, it would allow them to correct clear and obvious misses by on field officials. And so, would passing this rule make you feel better about having replacement refs on the field? Um, or would you rather them just try to, um, let it fly?
Let's make that rule all the time. Like, why not? Like replacement refs or not, if we have the ability to correct obvious missed calls, we should be able to correct them. And I feel this way. Like, I get like old school fans don't like replay review and they don't like challenges and like things that slow down the game. Um, and yeah, I get that. I'd rather have a slightly slower, correctly officiated game, no matter what sport it is, than a game that like one team loses and every game matters, especially in the NFL, because of factors beyond their control.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And that was it. That's not like a new idea they're putting forth. That was supposed to effectively have been in place this past year. And that's the part that I think was frustrating is we saw it used at times to be like, oh no, that actually was uh an incomplete pass, and the booth would call down and basically be like, hey guys, move that ball back. That was not a completed catch. The booth is overruling, and they're not having to make these official announcements. It's not this like big stoppage of the game. The booth is just calling it down. The refs grab the ball, move it back, say there's been an overruling by the booth, and then the game continues. It's not a big deal, and no one is like looking at these refs like disgusted. They're not like, oh, how dare they have missed that. It's like, great, they caught it. We move on. And I just think like, yeah, that rule needs to be in place always. That is the power that we have with football. I think football is different than a lot of sports just because of how it's played. Like ABS is a very clean cut system for baseball. Like it is just a trackable thing into a singular spot. Whereas football, it's a little bit more complex with how some of these penalties are called. But the eye in the sky should be present at every game. Like, I really believe that. There should be 16 guys who are Terry McCauley, right? There should be 16 guys who are just expertly versed in NFL rules. I guarantee there's 16 dudes in the United States of America right now who love football enough to know every rule by heart. Promise. I promise. I promise. They can assign one of these guys per game to watch the eye in the sky and just basically watch the broadcast and have the additional, umpire angles of the additional cameras and just have him make sure like this game is not getting out of control in any way. Like it doesn't have to be a perfect scorecard, but it can't be so bad anymore. So yeah, I think that this rule should come into place, and I would be fine with replacement refs with or without that rule, but that rule should be in place regardless.
Yeah. one of those rules that just kind of makes sense to have, but strangely has never been a thing. And so, I think that the what they're voting on is to use it as a sort of emergency parachute for this year only. But I could see it being a thing of like they need it, so they pull the chute for 1 year only, quote unquote, and then it goes so well and the reaction is so positive that next year they vote on making it permanent. Kind of like the previous changes to kickoffs and things like that that have been like, okay, we're voting on it for this year and then we'll vote again next year to make it permanent. I can see that being a situation that goes down here because I think it would go well. It would go over well anyway, and I think that it would work. So you know, hopefully, because of one thing or another, um, we hope that the best version of refereeing, whatever that looks like, happens for the 2026 to 2027 NFL season for sure. And so whatever that looks like, we hope that that's the case, obviously. But yeah, we'll see how that situation plays out and keep an eye on it as it goes further. But something a little bit more entertaining that went down over the last week was the flag football showdown between Team USA, which is the official USA flag football team. So the team that plays in regular flag football tournaments and competition, um, suited up against a couple of teams made out of NFL players and former NFL players. Um, and players who are maybe not playing for anyone right now, et cetera, et cetera. All guys who were available to play, some playing for teams actively and some not. And well, it kind of turned out strangely because Team USA, they had two exhibition matches and they beat both teams by a lot. So the first score was against Tom Brady's team and it was 43-16 in favor of Team USA. And then Joe Burrow's squad took a shot at it and it was 39-16 in favor of Team USA. So not necessarily the expected outcome, especially when you, televise something originally they were planning to make it an international affair. And for complicated reasons that did not work out, so they had it in Los Angeles. So yeah, the question comes though. We talked about the Olympics a little bit once we confirmed that flag football was going to be part of it. We talked about that on this show and what players we would put on our dream team. But after this, do we think NFL players should stay out of the Olympics in 2028? And we should just send the guys who play this sport regularly out there to compete?
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's definitely it's I mean, yeah, right? Like they handedly beat our professional guys. Like it proved this is a different it's cliche to say, but this is a different sport. Like people don't realize it's not just played on a football field like normal. This is played on basically half the field, also half the width. Like this is a small and skinny field. Being able, Josh Allen being able to throw it 80 yards doesn't help him in a flag football match. And so it is one of those things where I'm like, the skill set necessary actually leans towards guys who haven't been as successful in the NFL in a while. Um, you think about those little like scat back types, you think about the quick, shifty little receivers. Those guys aren't as popular anymore. We don't see a lot of those guys. We see Jamar Chase, we see Mike Evans, we see, T. Higgins, Puka, JSN, like, and JSN's still on the smaller side and a bit of a technician, but it's like these are bigger bodied guys. They can break tackles. It's a more physical thing. They have no way of stopping a guy who can run full speed while lunging 3 inches off the ground and just like duck waddling his way through a crowd. Like, I don't know if you guys have watched any of that stuff, but the like drop move they do where they just drop down and are like hovering above the ground is it damn near defying like physics. It is one of the craziest things to watch, and I also watched a guy juke Luke Kuechly out to the point where Luke Kuechly like tumbled over. Luke Kuechly, who I would swear is maybe the greatest linebacker I've ever watched in my time. Like it's one of those things like these guys are just different. They're built different. So I think there's still a place maybe for a receiver or two on these teams, a guy who can just go up and out physical someone in the end zone. But they've proved like this is not the type of thing our guys can just step into and dominate.
Yeah, I think, when we had this conversation last year, whenever it was first announced, we got really excited by the prospect of seeing like a super team of NFL guys. But like it's not really as simple as like the World Baseball Classic and having an all-star team there, or the World Cup and having your best representatives from your country. Like it is not football in the way that they play football every week. You know what I mean? Like it is a different sport in that sense. And I would kind of compare it like if they had like a slow pitch softball tournament and you told me like, oh, Team USA is building like with let's just insert their World Baseball Classic roster, I'd be kind of like, okay, but why? Like, what? Like, don't we have guys that play slow pitch softball all the time? Like not that Aaron Judge couldn't hit a slow pitch softball a mile, but like I've seen him do a more impressive thing, which is play baseball. So now let's do like the guys who couldn't play baseball but have figured out how to play slow pitch softball. Let's see them. I think it goes same way here. Like, yeah, these guys weren't good enough to be NFL football players, but they found their niche and they're so good at it. I think the main point that, for me, and you brought this up, Matt, is like the way they know how to avoid getting their flag pulled is just totally different moves than what you would ever need in the NFL. Like I was tripping out watching these guys, like even just like the simple like moving my back out of the way thing. It's like that is not something that football players have to typically deal with. And so yeah, I've come around. Like I want to see in an international flag football competition, let's see USA's best flag football team. And if they ever had a tackle football 11-man competition, then yeah, let's see the super NFL team. Uh, you would, I mean, what even country could come close to competing with that? Like it doesn't exist, right? So, um, yeah, like as fun as it would be to see like an all-star squad, maybe they can build one for some exhibition games or something, but when it comes to the actual Olympics, like let's send the guys out there that know how to win in flag football.
I propose that Team USA takes one like token NFL guy who we just know is going to be funny, like, or just like an entertainment thing. Because I do think there's like a bit of this where it's like if you really do want to bring football to the biggest stage and you want to promote like this style of football as well, you need to bring eyes to it. Like that's not a nothing argument, but I'm like, would we be harmed by putting Gronk on that team and sending him to the Olympics just to play in the red zone? I don't think so. He doesn't have to play defense. He doesn't have to do anything. But boy, would I watch the game just to get those glimpses of him. Like, I think that would be fun. And so I'm like, I think it'd be at least cool if they did something like that, where they could bring like one or two just like token NFL guys who everyone can kind of universally agree, like, yeah, it'd be fun to see him. Like, it'd be cool to see him out there. And it brings eyes to the sport. The guys who are there still get their moment to shine, just with more eyes on them. Like I think that's where I would land after watching this tournament.
Yeah, I think for me, I think it would feel because I'll be honest, I am an outlier in this sense. I don't know what's wrong with me. I try to get into the Olympics every time that it happens, and I don't care. Like I'm so I just don't. It doesn't interest me at all. And so for me, it would feel weird, and it would feel like they're trying to win someone like me who's dumb about the Olympics over if they shoved NFL players into the flag football portion of the upcoming Olympics in 2028, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what it would feel like to me. And I don't think they should do that. I think that clearly that would be kind of the only reason to do it is to drive viewership, right? Because
Mhm.
now we've seen that they don't really know the rules. They don't really, obviously, I don't know that they care to learn them, things like that. And so it's one of those things where if they're not going to commit to it, then let's let the players who know how to play the game go for it. And it would feel to me like a move to try to, bring in viewers who wouldn't normally watch, in if they shoved NFL players in there. So for me, it would feel weird, to see that. I think the Olympics are more for the people whose stories we hear every 4 years, and we get to catch up with, some athletes, after maybe not really hearing from them a ton, because the Olympics is what they do. And I like that part about the Olympics. You get to see those kinds of people. And so, yeah, I don't necessarily like it wouldn't move the needle for me to be like, oh, I'll watch the Olympics now you know, because Joe Burrow is playing in it, but it would feel like a move that's meant to make that happen for someone like me.
Sure.
So yeah, I don't really love the idea of that. But yeah, I don't know. I think this did change my mind as to what I think was likely to happen, though. Like I did think that maybe it was likely that we would make a team out of all NFL players, and now I think that watching this has changed my mind about what is likely, to happen, for sure, because it was just so lopsided, and it was really crazy. Um, but you know, coming off of that and coming off of this little exhibition that we had here, there were maybe an opportunity or two for some players who played in the game to show that they might have something left in the tank here. And apparently, some teams, shout out to Odell Beckham Jr.'s agent or whoever is representing him, who is, putting this out there. But apparently, there's streets are saying that teams have apparently showed some renewed interest in Odell Beckham Jr. after seeing him play in this game. And so, first up, do you buy that? And second, if you do, where would he fit best? We know that wide receiver is kind of a market right now. And so, does he have a fit, for a team you could see him play for?
Yeah, I absolutely think so. Obviously, he didn't end his career in a very illustrious way. He won that Super Bowl with the Rams, but unfortunately tore his ACL about
Mhm.
halfway through, a little less than halfway through. And then after that, just had a few forgettable seasons. I think it was a mixture of like the Ravens and Dolphins.
Ravens were in
Um,
there for sure. Yeah.
yeah, and but the catching ability has always been what made him special, right? It was his ability to make these incredible catches. I don't think that ability really leaves guys for a long time. It's usually their speed, it's usually their agility, their route running abilities, all that type of stuff. I think there is absolutely. I don't think you could convince me that every single team in the NFL has six receivers on their team that are better than OBJ. I will say that. I don't think you could convince me of that. Now, the question for me comes to, is OBJ wanting to play on a veteran minimum? Is he willing to play for the minimum amount of money? Because if he's coming back and saying, I want $10 million, I want $20 million, tough. Like, tough, dude. You're never going to get that. But if he comes back and he's willing to play for a minimum, I mean, I would take him back on the Rams. Like, I can tell you in a heartbeat that OBJ would be more well used than Tutu Atwell was last year. I can tell you that he's going to be more of a threat on that field this upcoming year than Jordan Whittington was, or Kanata Mumfield was, Xavier Smith. Like, we have a lot of guys who I think have value in the roles they play, but as far as a true receiver on the field, I think there's absolutely still space in the NFL for OBJ.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on it because, like, I agree with your point that I don't think every team has six receivers that are better than current OBJ. Um, but at the same time, like, I hate seeing guys fizzle out to end their careers. Like, I'd much prefer you retire on top like Calvin Johnson than see what has kind of, like we saw with Julio Jones, where he just kind of hung on for a couple years too long. And like DeAndre Hopkins has been going through it the last couple of years. Like, it's just kind of the way it goes. The fall off is quick, unfortunately, especially in the NFL. Um, yeah, like could he go out there and catch some passes and be a part of a winning team? Like, no doubt. But at the same time, like, do I fully trust that that is what would happen and like he'll look like some version of his old self? Like, I don't know. So like, I think it would really depend on the team. Like, I mean, as you pointed out, Matt, like I trust that the Rams and Sean McVay and Matt Stafford and that team could really uh, put Odell Beckham to his like best purpose could be on a football field these days. But I don't want to see him play just to see him play. Like,
Sure.
get him on a team like the Rams that would have an idea of what to do with him and like maybe make him a specific role or something. But in general, just kind of makes me sad to see guys hanging on a little too long. And, it's been a long time since we've seen him be a meaningful contributor on an NFL football field. So I'm torn.
I just got real thrown off by ages in the NFL. So I looked up two guys in the NFL because I was thinking like who would maybe be around the same age. So Odell Beckham is just recently 33 years old. And I'm like, that's not like crazy. That's not like ancient. I mean, NFL terms a little bit. And I was like, let's look up like Cortland Sutton. He's like a wily little vet here. He's been in the league for a minute. He is 31, I believe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so not like that far off. But then I looked up Mike Evans, who I was like, surely he's old.
Same
Surely he's
draft
gonna be.
class.
Dude, Mike Evans is only 32.
Yeah.
Odell's a year older than Mike Evans, and I'm like, my perception of age is so thrown right now because like I'm out here thinking like, yeah, Odell could still have a few years in the tank if he really wanted it. Mike Evans, I'm talking about him like Father Time himself, and is a year younger than Odell Beckham. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so confused.
Yeah. It's one of those things where if they're in front of you and you see, how their performance has gone, from elite to just pretty good, like Mike
Mhm.
Evans, like you see that happen and it hits you in a different way than a guy who's been out of the game for a while, and you may not have seen every step of that journey, but yeah, that's trippy for sure. Because they were in the same class there, and I think it was the 2014 one, right? 2014 was their rookie year.
Mm.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, well, hopefully, if he's got something left in him, someone can take a flyer on him and we can get some more one-handed grabs, who knows? He's still got that in him. We saw that in the flag football game. So, if someone can put it up there, maybe he can go get a couple more, and add a couple more to the highlight reel. But we'll see about that. Now, though, let's go ahead and move to the end of our show here. And the last segment for today's NFL show is our Dingers and Stingers segment. So, if you are unfamiliar, the Dingers and Stingers segment, it is where we will give you one good thing, one dinger, and one bad thing, one stinger from the world of sports for the week. So, we will start with the bad and end with the good, as we always do. So, Drew, give us your stinger to start us off.
Yeah, so my singer is like kind of silly. Like, it's not that big of a deal at the end of the day. But it is something that like sports fans to the level that we are care about. Um, so Major League Baseball is back. That's like the big story of the week. And part of the new season is that there's like new companies broadcasting games. The old companies update how their broadcast looks year in and year out. So you kind of get to see all that. And so, like, one of the things is Netflix is now doing games. They did the opening night game last night. And there's Scorebug, which, if you're not familiar with the Scorebug, that is the little box, or in some cases, it's like a line at the bottom that shows you the score, shows you who's pitching, who's batting, the count, just like the basic information that you need to know if you're just hopping into a sporting event. Okay, so like every sport has it. It should be an extremely simple thing to nail. Some companies do. I'm watching the Mariners on my phone right now. I don't know who does their broadcasts these days, but it's like it's a nice, clean, simple box in the bottom right corner. Easy. Netflix comes out with their own. It's like the ugliest thing you've ever seen. It's a weird shape. It's kind of hard to read. Um, the like font sizes on the names are really small. Like it just like it looks so bad. And how many steps and layers it has to go through to get to the approval point, I don't even know. And then I watched the Red Sox today on their network is called NESN. They used to
Yep.
have a nice, clean, simple scorebug. They've doubled it in size, changed the look entirely, have all these big ads that like pop out from it. It feels like it takes up a quarter of the screen. It's just absolutely insane what we're doing these days with what should be the simple thing that you can ignore. You should, if you're thinking about how nice or how a scorebug looks like in general, then you've done a bad job with your scorebug. Like it should just be something that blends in, and you don't even notice it, and you just look at it when you need to. Um, it's atrocious what's going on around the league.
Yeah. It's always been one of those things that it surprises me how wrong, like you were saying, how wrong they can get it when it seems like it should be something that isn't difficult for that. But yeah, I saw the Nesson one, and I mean the old one was one of my favorite ones in the whole league. Like, I wish that everyone would just do that one. And then, but now, they have to, they incorporate ads into it, which is a thing. Like, you got to make sure the sponsors are, doing their thing and everything. But like, that comes at a cost of how it looks and how it feels and everything. So it's all revamped and it's very strange and for sure it's a weird look. But I wasn't aware of the size though. I didn't see it like on the actual screen. So like that's pretty crazy that it's so big too. But anyway, yeah, we definitely care about that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a bummer when you see things that you shouldn't notice, basically. Like you're just like, now it's right in my face. It's all there. And I can't stop thinking about it. Distracts from what's going on. But okay, so let's move to Stinger over on Matt's side. Stinger from the World of Sports for the week. What you got?
Yeah, for me and my stinger this week, it's based around some of this, continuing saga of this off season for my sweet, sweet Pookie, Puka Nakua. He finds himself in the middle of another piece of drama, following one of, the best seasons that we've seen from an NFL player on offense and, rivaling that Jackson Smith-Njigba had. And this is supposed to kind of be, his contract years coming up as well. All these things. I will say this. I'm not going to comment on the lawsuit. I'm not going to comment on anything like that. I will say I think the basis of it is suspect at best. But what I'm also going to say is Puka needs to know better than to keep getting himself into situations that even have this coming up. It's one thing, we talked about it at length in our in our fantasy football league chat because I've got a couple of Seahawks fans in there that just love giving me a little bit of shit. And we talked about it. And it's like Puka is 24. He is single for the first time in like essentially his whole life. He was with that girl forever. He's new to money. He went to BYU to finish college. Like, there's a lot of things that don't excuse it, but like, it's a young guy. He's 24, going through a bit of a hoe phase, a bit of a party phase. And I'm like, I'm not against that. I'm not against guys having fun, and I'm not against guys enjoying their lives as professional athletes. And I don't think that Puka is this like inherently bad guy. And at the same time, I'm like, Puka, you've got to understand the people you hang out with matter. the people you keep putting yourselves around keep getting you into situations that you have to explain yourself out of, or that other people have to explain you out of. And, a video came out of the girl who's suing him, and it's her like dancing on him, and he's fully just blacked out on the floor. It's like, like, brother, it's hard. It's hard to stand up for him in this like moralistic way of like he's just this good young boy, and it's like, no, like he is like doing some shit, but at the same time, like there's just so much. It's such a trigger point now with him specifically that every news source will start to run with it, even if it was this like random TMZ article that started it all. Like the fact that TMZ is reporting on my favorite football player right now. Don't love that. Don't love that TMZ is involved at all. Uh, so yeah, it's just my sweet Pookie needs to calm down a little bit, or get some smarter friends, or go on a social media fast or something. Like he needs to cool off for a second and understand like you can have fun and still be smart, and I need him on my football team more than air at this point. So yeah.
You need him, that's for sure. He's a big part of what they got cooking over there. So, you know, that's for sure. But okay, so enough with the bad. Let's end with the good here, and let's go over to dingers, and let's go back to Drew for your dinger for the week.
Yep, and I'm going to go right back to baseball, where, like I said, the season started. That's a dinger in and of itself. The Red Sox won their first game. That's a dinger in and of itself. But I want to focus on like how they won, and it was exactly what you kind of hope for the season, and that was Garrett Crochet did Garrett Crochet things on the mound. Not his most
Mm-hmm.
dominant performance you've ever seen, but like he never broke, even when he had to bend a little bit, um, and still had 8 strikeouts, which is more than he had in all of spring training. So like it goes to show like spring training is like kind of silly. Um, and Roman Anthony leading off had 3 hits. He also walked. Marcelo Meyer didn't start the game because it was a lefty starting pitcher. He came off the bench. He had 2 doubles. Like it was the guys that you want to see doing really well showed up and did pretty well for the Red Sox today. And so, just to get personal with my own team, like it was exciting to see. And I have high expectations for 2026.
Yeah, get ready. It's buckle up time. The season is ready to go, and some of these players are popping out of the gate hot, and they are ready to start well. So, hopefully, we can keep it going. But okay, so Matt, what is your dinger for the week as well?
Yeah, I was gonna talk about the flag football thing and how the NFL guys kind of got a little bit, because I just think that's fun. I like when civilians win. Like as fun as I think the NFL guys are, I think it's cool when like a normal guy is pick sixing Jalen Hurts. Like I think that's cool.
Yeah.
But there was one thing I forgot about that I think is really exciting, and I don't know if you guys saw that the Browns restructured Myles Garrett's contract today.
Mm,
This comes on the heels of them pushing forth that rule change that would introduce 5 years of tradable draft picks.
yep.
And it's a lot of signs pointing towards they are trying to prepare for a Myles Garrett trade. The way that they restructure this trade makes it infinitely easier and more more digestible for a team to trade for Myles Garrett. It wouldn't be such a hefty salary load, and also kind of gives the Browns some leverage in there. And so I think that there's like real momentum in this thing. And do I like the idea of 5 years of trades? I don't know, because in football, 5 years is more than most people's careers. It's a little different than like basketball in that sense. But at the same time, would I love to see somebody do something cool to get Myles Garrett? Yeah, I think Myles Garrett being not on the Browns anymore would be cool. And so I'm going to call that my dinger. I just like when there's intrigue in the league.
Yeah, when the puzzle pieces start to come together, we'll see how that vote goes next week.
Mhm.
But when the puzzle pieces start to come together, you start thinking about what's possible, and certainly that would be one of the biggest deals if it ever went through, no matter who signs him or who would trade for him. But
Mhm.
yeah, we'll keep our eyes on that situation as they vote next week and see if there's any more puzzle pieces to be found. All right, but that'll do for this week. And that'll do for our NFL show. If you missed our MLB show for this week, we talked about the first couple days of the baseball regular season. We gave our AL West preview, and we even gave our playoff predictions and all the way up through World Series winners. So go back and check that out if you want to know who we picked to win the World Series. And as always, you can subscribe to us here on YouTube. Thank you for watching. And you can listen to us on Spotify and follow us there. Make sure you don't miss an episode. And let us know in the comments what you guys think about the ongoing issues with, the refs and their labor talks, what you guys think about replacement refs potentially coming in again. And, let us know what you think about the 2028 Olympics, who should play and who should stay away. And of course, let us know your dinger and stinger for the week. We'd love to hear that as well. Until the next time we talk at you, take care, and we will talk to you then. Goodbye.
Bye.